Hello, everybody. My name is Pasha Marlowe, and this is the Let Pleasure Be the Measure podcast. And I have for you today another fun and exciting guest. This is Allison Wonders, woo! Speaker coach, comedian, and pure romance consultant. We are going to have a juicy conversation, likely about everything, and especially pleasure. So welcome, Allison.
Thank you, Pasha. It's great to be here on Let Pleasure Be the Measure. I like saying it. It's a very sexual, sensual.
Yeah, it's like not just the rhyme, it's like the word itself is pleasurable. It has like a
It does.
resonance to it, right?
It does. I like it.
I-
It really got me thinking a lot about pleasure.
oh, good.
Yeah, and I really, what I realize about pleasure is that anything pleasurable completely takes you out of your head. All the
Yes.
thoughts disappear
The
when you
thing,
pleasure.
yes, the thinking thoughts, and then you feel with your body more, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
And
So how do you define pleasure? Like, I know that's hard to put into words, but if you could define it with a word or color or image, what would it be?
Um, I mean, I think I would define it as just body awareness, really, just
Mhm.
being aware of like a sensual experience without words. That's how I would define it.
Nice. I like that. Yes. I'm hearing from so many women that it's hard to define with words. So yes, I love that essential experience without words. And it sounds like you're on a bit of a sensual exploration journey right now.
Am.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're 56, right?
Yep. Yep.
I love the over 50 midlife woman who's like, I'm reclaiming my pleasure, my joy, my sexuality, my desires, and all the things. And I could give two fucks what you think about it. It's like, we're like fiery now.
I right? Like women over 50 are like, we're killing it. We're doing it. We're out there. Watch out, world, because we're here. Watch it.
Exactly. I have a sex therapist friend who was just on the podcast this morning, actually, Jennifer Wiesner, and she said this is the year of the vulva. She's like, I could feel it. And she was talking about it in terms of women's empowerment, but also actually sexual reclamation and pleasure revolution. So yeah. And it's funny because I think you and I met through our vulvas in a way.
We did.
And you recognized my vulva online, and I recognize yours because we have the same vulva
Did
puppet.
do it. Hello. Hello, darling.
Oh, yours has a British accent. That's cool. Mine's like British when it's shaved, but then when I have it hairy, I'm like, what do you want? I was like, it gets like this like angry New Yorker.
Mine's always telling you what she needs. She likes to talk and things and like, let's not beat around the bush. I'm a ventriloquist. So if you're listening to this, you may hear it sounds a little funny, but if you
I will absolutely put up a YouTube video of this as well, because sometimes these podcasts just have to be watched. But you just said beat around the bush. That was on purpose, right?
I
Okay.
did. And so when I'm a ventriloquist
Twist,
oh wow,
twist.
that's bad. A ventriloquist, wow, okay, when I do
You had
my
your tongue tied.
thing, the only lips that move are my vulvas.
Only your vulva lives with. I just did a comedy show the other day, and the person was cracking. I was holding my vulva puppet, like celebrating her reclamation of pleasure. And then she said something really funny. She was actually naming all the different words we use for vulva, and some of them are just bizarre. Something like not bearded lizard. There was one that was different, lizardy. But anyhow, I started laughing, but I was laughing during the show. So I started sticking my face in the vulva and laughing, which looked very dirty.
That is very funny. Yes, and I do like comedy stand up, and so like there's the microphone and the vulva, so things get a little hairy
Yes.
there. So yeah,
Yes.
fun stuff. But so your friend and talking, that's what I'm. So I think we've done the sexual revolution. I think now we're doing the sexual evolution. I
Nice.
think what's happening is that, sexual well-being is now at the forefront, and it's
Mhm.
about, it's about the mind, spirit, and body of your sexual well-being. It's not just about having sex. It's about, you know,
Yes.
touch and meditation during sex and being present, like all those skills. It's about yoga, getting the right move in while you're in it,
Oh,
so
you do yoga moves while you're doing it? Wow, that's really
we all do
creative.
some kind of yoga move. I don't know what you'd call it, but
All I know is like my hand arthritis is really impacting this pleasure experiment.
oh dear. Well, there's two hands, so
I do a left-handed. That doesn't feel good at all.
that's true. Well, that brings me to toys. If
I
you have
need to be
toys,
ambidextrous in my self-worshiping.
yeah. Well, if you have a good ergonomic toy,
Okay, there you go. So let's just jump right into vibrators. So do you have a favorite? Like I've never asked anybody. No, that's not true. I have asked somebody that. Not on the podcast though.
I
What?
do. I do have a favorite. I do.
Yeah.
Because well, first of all, vibrators aren't like they used to be, right? So like they used to be just dildos and they look like penises and that was it. Now they're
And
literally ergonomic, made so that your hand can fit on it and it can hold it well. They're made, some of them are made, you don't need your hands. Some of them are,
really,
yeah, hands
I'm
free, baby.
I'm not schooled on this. So that's good for arthritis and laziness.
It is.
Um, and why are vibrators purple all the time? Like what's with that?
Oh, they're purple, they're green, they're blue. I think it's part of the evolution. They're not like granny's vibrators anymore, We're like, they're not even pink. They're exciting and colorful and fun. And, they don't look like they used to look, but they are made for women. They are
Good.
made to be used in our bodies the way our bodies are designed. So they're
Excellent.
really well designed and I really enjoy, and there's so many varieties and there's something for everybody. So, and they come with,
Fantastic.
like tons of multiple speeds and you can use them with a partner or without a partner. It's good stuff. It's
And I assume they're getting quieter as time goes on.
They are quiet. They are definitely quieter.
Uh,
They still have a buzz, but
yeah,
they
because
are
that's
quieter and that is really helpful.
yeah, because that's a common barrier,
It is.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they're important because, 80% of women need clitoral stimulation. So
Mm-hmm.
most vibrators have a clitoral component to them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really important because, I don't know, many partners, 80% of women need clitoral stimulation. And I don't know what percentage actually need a toy to finish the job because a
Mm-hmm.
partner might not be able to move their tongue or their finger as fast as a vibrator. And
Right.
when you have control of the vibrator, you have control of where it goes and how you feel and how you can enjoy your pleasure. And sometimes you just can't explain it to the partner when you're in the middle of all that. So,
Sure. Sure.
um, one of the things I really like to talk about is really speaking up in the bedroom,
Good.
like letting your partner, even if you're first dating, if you bring in a toy, just really like, this is what I want. This is what I need. We're bringing this in. Let me show it to you. Don't be scared of it. But this is going to give me the ultimate pleasure. And I want to partner it with you.
Yeah, and that brings up a really great point is how do you start that conversation with your partner? Even just asking for what you want, right? This comes up a lot. It's like, how do we ask for what we want during sex? And how do we say, it's going great, but I could use a little bit more. So why don't we go get that toy in the drawer? Do you have it out ready? Like, what's your advice?
Well, I mean, it's like anything, it takes courage. I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. It really does take courage to
Mm-hmm.
say, this is what I need and I want. So that
Mm-hmm.
conversation is either best done, definitely one would be out of the bedroom before,
Right.
and
Right.
it's just, this is what I need. And of course, it's always good if you do it right after sex when everybody's feeling real good and you're like, listen, by the way, there's something I would like to share with you. And then, show them. You got to show them this is how it works. This is how it is. This is about us. This is how it works for me. It doesn't mean that you're not great. But it's just going to give me that extra pleasure that I need to
Mm-hmm.
finish the job for myself. So,
And you're saying after sex, are you talking about like after, for instance, intercourse? And there's, of course, many different methods, but you said to have this conversation after sex.
yeah, I'm saying like after you've had sex with your partner and y'all are relaxed, right?
Oh, then continue the conversation.
Yeah, that like when everybody's like had a really nice time and we're relaxed and everybody's head is in a different space, that's kind of a good time to talk about it too, because
Mm-hmm.
your partner might be more receptive to it.
Or asleep.
Yes, so you bonk them or her with the toy and you go, hey,
You bonk them with the toy.
listen, this is what we need to do. And another conversation that is really important to have is lubrication. So that's
Yes.
a really tough one, right? Because like sometimes you just have to lubricate in the middle of having sex and you have
Mm-hmm.
to be brave and have courage. And that I
Sure.
think that the young women, I don't know, we're not taught. There's nowhere that we're taught this. That's why I love this pure romance model where ladies get together and we're educating. And there's really
Mm-hmm.
no other place. And lubrication is like, where do you learn about lubrication? Like all you know is, oh, if I get old, I dry up. Well,
Right.
that's not true, right? It's what's true is you could be having sex for a long time and you need extra lubrication. You could be using a toy and you need extra lubrication. You could be on medication and you need lubrication.
Yes. And there's many different types and varieties, and having it right there and ready for solo or partner sex so that you're not looking for it and trying to open it.
Exactly. And that's a conversation too, to say, listen,
Yes.
I might need lubrication. And I think that there's just power and courage and just saying, hey, listen, we got to stop.
Mm.
This is what I need, I mean, I don't know as women that we're taught that. There's like this teaching that we're just supposed to keep going and like, let's let it go. I don't know at our age that we feel that way, but
Hmm.
even if like your arm's hurting, it's like, you know what? You speak up. Those are the pieces that we're speaking up about.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We're not likely to sit around with our arm losing feeling and sensation and tingling. I'm just be like, my arm's getting tired. I'm moving it.
Yeah, we're moving this one. So
Or it's probably not going to work. So we might want to just give up now. Like when you just know your head is not in it, you do not have to people please and stick around for a very long time if you don't want to. Just exit.
exactly.
Be
And
kind.
I feel like as women, that pleasure, it's the journey. I mean, I think maybe for a man, in order to feel complete, he has to have his ending, but I don't know if
Mm.
that's always true.
No, I don't think it is.
I think it's just a journey and if you're able to really be present and in the moment, I mean, it's just an endless journey and you can stop and go and turn and move and change. It's really incredible.
Absolutely. Yes. And there's so many different forms of sex and pleasure. And you mentioned illness and whether it's hormones or a physical illness or a mental illness, like so much can stand in our way from sex looking the way we think it should look. So redefining it for ourselves and designing our sexual experiences and our partnerships, whatever they look like, for ourselves, and letting go of the conditioning, and even everything we've read in a book, that even we just have to define it for ourselves and then ask for what we want and be open and
Exactly.
truthful with our partners and ourselves. I've talked to a lot of women who struggle with the truth to themselves. If they're hiding their truth, this is specifically related to sexuality. If they're hiding their sexuality or not being forthright about it with themselves in their head, then that stands in the way and can be manifested as secrets and shame in the bedroom, with or without a partner.
Right. Right.
Mm.
And and if you do have issues, I think that you should be brave enough. And I think again, sex and bravery to get help, to talk about it. I think it's really important. You don't have to be hiding and have that dual conversation, which is I'm doing it, but I won't really feel it.
Yeah,
There's a lot you can do to
sure.
there's a lot of good work out there.
Yes.
There's even good products. I mean, we have a product that's called O, and it's, you put it on your clitoris and then the blood rushes to it and it gives you some feeling and stimulation. And then, you feel a little more ready to go and,
Yep.
move in.
Good.
So,
Good.
yeah.
Fantastic. And so when you gather with women, what are the main, I guess, limiting beliefs that come up for women that stand in the way of pleasure, even outside of sex, just stand in the way of receiving pleasure and asking for pleasure and feeling worthiness of pleasure.
Yeah, I think that women don't I think what pleasure looks like has to be redefined. I think pleasure has been the finishing act. That's been all that we talk about.
The
And
big O.
this whole thing that really
Mm,
begins with touching. And we are
mhm,
a really interesting part of life where we cannot touch as much. And that is
mhm,
huge deprivation. So
mhm.
we need to be touching. We need to be touching our family members. I mean, skin on skin, feeling, heart on heart, like
Yeah.
a lot. Like that is not okay that this is happening. And, it's really important with our partners to, keep that touching and, feeling our skin. This is basic. And that's all the way over here. That's the beginnings of pleasure.
Yeah, it's so important to, and we're missing that right now, the extra hugs. And I know a lot of people, I imagine that's why so many people are buying, puppies and cats right
Right.
now. Like they need somebody to love on and someone to love on them. Yeah. And luckily, I feel like we can establish some of that connection and even intimacy, online and via Zoom through eye contact and smiling. But yeah, I think it makes it even more important that we use our own bodies and our own hands to experience that touch that we all need as humans, just as a basic human need.
Yeah, and FYI, like the sex industry is like booming. Like 2020 was the best year ever. So people are
Really?
having sex, people are buying things, people are reconnecting with their partners, people are asking those questions of how and getting back to their, partners and having good times where maybe they didn't. So it's been, sex is in. It's happening, people.
So something good came out of 2020.
Yeah, it is. A lot of good came out of 2020.
Absolutely. So many gifts and blessings in disguise for sure. One of the things that you really truly believe in, and I do as well, is finding times and now, of course, as safely as possible, getting out with our girlfriends and whether you call it ladies' night or night on the town or whatever you call it, how important that is for women to keep coming back to that sisterhood and tribe.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's what I miss. So part of doing pure romance is you get together with ladies and right, you
Mhm.
laugh and you laugh, sex becomes fun and you get to laugh about and connect. And yeah, that's something I'm still doing as much as I can. And
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be more so we can all get out there and connect as women.
Yes.
Because
I know
that's
as soon as a women's retreat is safe, that's the first thing I'm booking again because it was my favorite thing to do is running women's wellness retreats or just circling up with women, even if it's just talking. And sometimes it looks like yoga or um, journaling or manifesting or learning, but sometimes it's just being in the presence of each other and holding space for each other's feelings, all of them.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's more men doing this now too. There's men's groups and support groups, and I've led some men's empowerment groups and emotional intelligence meetings with men lately. And because I don't want to leave them out. We're women in the year of the vulva expanding and empowered and liberated. And sometimes it feels as if we're just going to outgrow our relationships, our partnerships, or just men in general. And so we have to, I think, include them in the conversation if we want to cohabitate and commune with them.
Well, and part of including is really being able to speak up for ourselves, being
Absolutely.
able to have those conversations that we might not have felt as comfortable,
Yeah.
in the past, and like really saying what we need, what we want, getting what we want. I know you're on that exploration in life, and I think that is like, that's where it's at. That's where we're at. Like this being honest, like I think we will have gotten where we need to get when we are truly honest in our sexual bodies and we are truly speaking, which is why I have a talking vulva, because she is going to say anything that she wants and she's
Yes.
going to speak up
Yeah.
where a lot of times we're not. So I think it is just a really exciting time for us to, as women and for the men in our lives. How lucky are they? All we're, the more we speak, the more, pleasure.
Right. Pleasure we get, pleasure they give, and makes them feel good. Right.
Absolutely.
And you and I have a commonality of not only having vulva puppets, but using our comedy to teach and to liberate through our truth telling. And so, how did you get into comedy to begin with, or puppetry?
So I have been working with puppets for 25 years. I was a children's entertainer. I had all these puppets. I moved my mouth. They thought they didn't even care. And then I grew up. I had kids, and I was like, I don't really want to play with kids anymore. So I decided I wanted to entertain grown-ups. So I took a couple of stand-up comedy classes. And on my last class, I decided to bring a puppet up there. And then it was like, you know what? If I just shut my mouth, I can be a ventriloquist. And voila, that is what I am doing now. And so now I am really I'm working the comedy muscle, which is so much fun. Talk about using my brain for better good in my life. I mean,
Yes.
I'm like constantly in there twisting and working, and I'm sure because
I call it like I finally learned to play with myself, because I can always create a comedy routine or find the humor in something or rewire a thought or a word. So yeah, it's constant fun creative challenge.
constant, and it's so surprising. Like if you show up to your creativity, you are in for a treat. I mean, it's going to take you to places you couldn't imagine that
Yes.
I mean, out of my mouth. I'm like, I think it's hilarious. It's so much fun. I'm a huge fan of Elizabeth Gilbert's book,
Oh,
Big.
big magic.
Oh,
So good. So I read her as well. And what you just said is, that you crack yourself up. And I think that's the most important part, because people are like, well, other people think I'm funny. And even in the Roar with Laughter program that I do, they'll worry that other people won't get their jokes. And I'm like, who cares? If you're getting up on stage and you're cracking yourself up and open because you're, revealing and healing, great. That's already wonderful. And absolutely, there's likely going to be somebody in the audience who resonates and feels a sense of belonging with what you're saying. You're not going to be everybody's comedian, just like you're not going to be everybody's therapist or, best friend. So I want to encourage people who are like, oh, I couldn't do comedy because I'm not funny, that it's just life is funny. And whatever you did this morning could be a comedy routine in a snap if you just look at it through the lens of humor.
absolutely. And everybody always wants to give me their jokes. They're like, oh my God, this, and I always have to tell them, that's your joke. Okay. You're funny. That's hilarious. Like, that is not my joke. My joke, comes out through my experiences in my life and my relationships. And
Exactly.
the thing about comedy that I'm learning right now is that this authenticity, you have to marry it with being authentic. You have to
Yes.
really be comfortable in your skin, like in everything you do, right? I mean, it's like
Mhm.
applies everywhere, like in
Yep.
life, in sex, in comedy. Like you have to, in order to really be seen, in order to really people to connect with you, yes, you have to be funny, but you have
Yes.
got to be authentic. And
Absolutely. And so even if you're doing a character, I always encourage people in my program, because my character is over anxious, talks way too much, and is really just a nervous wreck, which is me, but I exaggerate it, right? And so through your puppetry, you might exaggerate, or through your sensuality, you might exaggerate it, but it's still authentic. It's still back to our essence. And so I think it's great to be able to tell people you could be flat in your affect. You could talk slowly and be completely lazy and not have any trouble getting people to laugh, because you can exaggerate that character and you could be like the lazy flat comic, and then it's hysterical as long as it's true and authentic.
exactly. And there's just a few little tricks, right? The
Mhm.
punchline. It's all
Yeah.
about the punchline, but you can learn the punchline,
Yes.
and anybody can be a comedian. That's the trick. I don't like to tell people that because I want to think that I'm hilarious, but the truth is anybody can be a comedian. And you've worked with plenty of women on that platform.
It can be learned. There's some techniques, some set up punchline or 1, 2, 3. There's just some things that kind of always work, which is nice to have a bit of a formula. It seems like mathematical and logical. But in the end, I love the comedic storytelling. The times when not everybody is laughing the whole time. They might be crying or really remembering something important in their life. And then there's tension that builds, and then there's a release and joke or laughter. I love that.
And as a comedian, that's hard work, because
Yeah.
you're like, nobody's responding for a minute, and you have to trust that you're going to get to the end and they're going to laugh, but you have to have a lot of confidence to just speak that story. So it's fun. It's like everything is the same thing. Everything is a question of bringing your body, mind, spirit to the table, feeling true to yourself, speaking up, it's all the same story, just in different forms.
Right. And back to Big Magic with Elizabeth Gilbert, her whole mission in that book is do something creative. And for one person, it's drawing, and another person is comedy, and another person, it might be gardening or whatever it is. Find the thing that lights you up, that stimulates those creative juices, and then go big. Let's go wild with it and embrace that, even if it's quirky. There's people who are like, well, I just knit. I'm like, awesome. Be like the knitter.
Pleasure, the pleasure.
Yes.
Oh my God, the pleasure of in creation. Oh, it's as good as anything, as good as anything.
And we have to create the time for it. And then we have to establish boundaries to create the space for it. And we have to maybe tell people that we live with or are friends with and family that this might be something that we're valuing now. It might look different. I might be taking more time in the bathroom. I might be closing my bedroom door and you're not supposed to come in. Or I'm going to take a weekend off here and there for myself, for my pleasure, and claiming it and seeing if you can, maybe it'll rub off on them.
And I'm really into habits, I work my habits. So 10 minutes of a day, right, toward your pleasure, what gives you, I think that is, again, I think let pleasure be the measure should be out there. Everybody needs to know about it. That is really good stuff.
So you're saying I should get t-shirts made?
I think so. I would wear it. I would totally wear it. I really would. I think it's a really important statement. It takes you way out of your head and in the moment, and you seek different things that you wouldn't seek in any other word. It's just a really great word to bring back.
Yes, agreed. So, Allison, if people wanted to check out your comedy or continue conversations with you or hear about your pure romance toys that you don't have to hold, how could they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can reach me on Facebook. You can just friend me on Facebook. I'm Allison Wondersgars with an S as in smile. Or you can email me at coachingwonders@gmail.com, and I am happy to talk comedy, sex. I work with people on TED Talks, TEDx Talks. So I got a lot of things going. So I'm always open to meeting new people and having new conversations. So thank you, Paul.
Good. Absolutely. I will include Allison's information at the bottom of the show notes, and check us out on YouTube if you want to watch the interview, especially because there's vulva puppets involved. And I don't know if I wish I had a little jingle in my head, like that's the end of our show or something. I don't know.
Oh, I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control and I think I like it. If they let us keep that, because we just stole a song.
Oh, it might not be recognizable.
Not coming through a vulva. So if you want to see a vulva sing, you have to watch.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. And even if they're just listening and giggling, then our job is done.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. If anybody needs a talking vulva, they want to be entertained, I'm your girl.
Awesome. So if anybody wants to continue the conversation with Allison, check out her links. If anybody wants to continue the conversation with me or explore coaching, pleasure and laughter coaching, or group coaching, because there's a new Roar with Laughter cohort coming up in April, where you too can be a comedian, no matter your experience. Always fun, so much fun. And yeah, pashamarlow.com, or email me at pasha@pashamarlow.com. And then if you love the podcast, subscribe, review, share, give a shout out to Allison and your friends. Say, hey, this was fun. You should listen to this. It just helps us spread the word of pleasure. So thank you, Allison, for being here.
Thank you, Pasha. You're awesome. Love your energy. Love your podcast. Love your book. Love everything you're doing, girl. And everybody check out Roar if you want to.
Yes. Yes. Super. Thank you. I will be talking to you soon. Bye, everybody. Thank you.